Well, our daughter, she was a seventh grader at Miller Middle School. And the incident, it started out where it was just, she accidentally bumped into a little girl in the cafeteria. And so she excused herself and the little girl said everything was fine. By the time they had gotten back to their classroom, it had exploded. The little girl went and told a couple of her little friends. Their little friends told a couple of their friends. And by the end of the class period, they were threatening to jump on our daughter.
I love my kids, you know, and my daughters, they are my hearts. And, you know, seeing her just go through that, it really just tore a hole in me because I couldn't really protect her the way she wanted to be protected. So my instinct was the first thing to do is just try to get her out of there.
And if you know your child acts a certain way, try to talk to your child to make sure that that child is not mistreating anyone else. Because our daughter, she's an outgoing little girl, but that hurt her. And where she still has those problems today.
Welcome to Perspectives. I'm your host, Dr. Rondrick Williamson. If you joined us last week, remember we're doing a two-part series on bullying. Every 7 minutes, a child is bullied. Bullying not only leads to poor educational performance, emotional instability, but it can also lead to death. On today's show, we want to share with you some strategies that can help you deal with that situation if you're ever faced with it. Stay with us. We'll be right back. To give us further insight on today on issues as it relates to bullying, we have a licensed professional counselor here on today, Ms. Paula Sims, CEO and President of Community Development System. Welcome to Perspectives on today.
Thank you.
Paula, let's start off. A lot of children don't actually share the experience with their parents and loved ones. Why do you think that that happens?
I think my first thought would probably be because of, you know, at the school age, middle school and high school, peer pressure becomes really huge. Fitting in, being normal is really important because what happens is the bullying kind of ostracizes the children or the child, and what they do is work hard to come back to that median of being the normal child. So they're just hoping that I could just stay quiet and perhaps it'll just go away, but it doesn't.
So what things should parents look for? I know we talked in the first show about some mood changes, some appetite issues. What things should parents look for in light of situations like we're talking about bullying?
I think that you're going to, I think that they talked before about maybe some eating issues. To contradict the under-eating, there's also can be overeating, where children are feeding their emotions because they're dealing with a lot of emotional disturbance and anxiety. And you have to understand that dealing with anxiety as a young child is extremely hard because you really don't know that that's what you're dealing with. So they, through the use of food, they actually try to normalize that anxiety they feel. A second thing is that there's going to be withdrawals. They'll be extremely withdrawn from normal activities. They may have, for example, you'll see them withdraw from school. They may want to be 6 months ago going to school at about 8 o'clock. School time late is 8:45. But nowadays you're noticing that, well, I don't necessarily need to be there by 8. 8:45 is good. Those kind of changes, but you're going to see a drastic change in behavior that parents really need to pay attention to. What is really important is the dialogue, that you're talking to your child on a daily basis. How was your day today? Who are your friends? What did you and your friends do today on the playground? Because a lot of times bullying, although it can happen in the community, many times it's going to happen in school, on the schoolyard, in the bathrooms. So it's extremely important to communicate and have that open dialogue with your child.
Now, Paula, we know the situation will not change overnight. When we're talking with the family, the incident happened in October of last year, but it's there are still happening repercussions today. What can parents do in the meantime?
Well, I think it's important, and you have to know that every child will respond to bullying different, okay? But each parent should understand the emotional level of their child. And I would think if this incident occurred in October and she is still having some emotional issues behind it, you're probably going to want to seek some professional help, either from a licensed therapist or psychologist or psychiatrist that can help her work through whatever self-image or self-esteem issues that have been developed from the bullying.
So I'm glad you said that about self-esteem. How can we help children regain their self-esteem?
You know, that's a great question. I think it would take, from a parental standpoint, daily talks, positive talks about those things that really are good about your child. Oh, you're extremely smart. I noticed that, you know, you have a great personality. And it needs to be the opposite of what the children are saying about your child. Because here's the thing, a lot of time in bullying, kids really don't focus in on what's negative. They'll just say whatever they need to say, and it just depends on how that individual is receiving that message, takes it. But you know, even the smartest person, if you keep hearing, you're not smart, you're not smart, you're not smart, then after a while, you're not gonna be smart. So you have to counteract that negative message that her peer group is trying to send to her and redirect her in a more positive way of thinking.
So let's switch gears for just a half of a second. What can parents do if their child is the actual perpetrator in the bullying incident? They're not the one being bullied, but they're the one doing the bullying.
Well, you know what, that's really interesting, because the bully and the victim of the bully can sometimes be one and the same. Let me give you an example, and I like to use analogies a lot. Let's think of a father that goes to work, and he gets to work and he's having some issues with his boss, okay? So the boss is screaming and yelling, and of course you know that the response is gonna be very minimal from the father because the boss has the greater power. And also the father understands, if I go off on this person, then I'm gonna lose my job. So what does the father do? The father will go home to his wife and he'll take it out on his wife. That's less threatening. The wife in return will turn around and take it out on the kid, which is also less threatening. And then the kid will say, you know what? All of these people are bigger than me, so what I'm gonna do is I'll kick the dog. So that's kind of what happens. You're seeing all of these people in this example, they were bullies, and then they were victim of bullies, and then they were bullied. So it just kind of can happen one and the same, and it's difficult, and you just have to watch that. And that's actually one of the signs of knowing if your child has actually been bullied. They begin that cyclic behavior that they have been introduced to by someone that's more powerful than they are.
So in the cascade of things, in the cascade of events that occurred in this situation, would you suggest that they have done something differently, or how would you view how they handled the situation?
You know, I think that listening to the story, you did a great job. I think the key was communicating with the school. A lot of people don't understand the importance of the school in bullying. I think that, and let me just talk a little bit about what is the makeup of a school where bullying occurs. You know, people feel unsafe. There's a sense of disrespect. There's no learning going on. students started to feel that they really don't want to be there at school. And then there's a lack of respect that they have for the teachers and staff because they kind of feel like, you know, you really don't care about me. So now what does it look like in a school where they're addressing bullying and ensuring that children are safe, because that is their responsibility? Number one, I think increased adult supervision is really important because being a past school counselor for more than 10 years, I understand that at the drop of a dime, in 5 seconds, a child can be leaving one class, going into another, and a fight break out. So it's important that the administrator of that building is making sure that there are different people in different areas to make sure that this doesn't happen. The second part of that is, I think a evidence-based practice program that is a bullying prevention program is extremely important. There might be peer mediation, they will offer conflict resolution skills, anger management. All of those things are really, really, really important. But in order, for me, it's about setting the stage. I remember at working as a school counselor, and every year prior to school starting, I would have gone back to look at what the needs assessment was in my school. Okay, so if I saw 100 children and 50 of those kids came in to see me about bullying, then I'm gonna be on my principal saying, you know what, we got a bullying issue in this school. So this is what we're going to do. The first 2 to 3 weeks of school, guess what we're gonna do? We're gonna talk about the rules and the roles, and we're gonna set a positive climate that encourages learning. How do we do that? With respect and safety. So you're gonna post all over the walls anti-bullying. We're gonna go into the classroom and talk about this is what happens if you bully. And then the follow through of the administrator saying, if you do 1, 2, 3, you're out of here, it needs to happen. And when that happens, it reduces the likelihood that the bullying will continue to occur in that school.
Wow, very good information, Paula. Stay with us, we'll be right back. We're talking bullying on Today.
You know, when your loved one gets sick, you want the best possible care for them. When we found out our baby Chloe had a tumor, our first and only thought was Critter Fixer. The doctors, the staff, they're wonderful. I mean, she received the best possible care before and after the surgery. The technology is state of the art, and they're always happy to see her. We know she's in good hands. It's no wonder their 2 locations were voted the best veterinary hospitals in Peach and Houston County. Critter Fixer, where family comes first.
To the kids, first of all, talk to your parents. It's okay to tell your parents because they have no way of knowing unless you talk to them, unless you tell them. Do not be afraid to think that your parents would think in the back of their mind, are you afraid to go to school, or are you afraid of other children? That's not the point.
Right.
We want to make sure that you are okay, that you are comfortable within yourself, within your means. And if you don't want to tell your parents, tell an auntie or a teacher. Just tell someone. Do not hold it in. And to the parents, talk to your kids. Talk to your children. It's okay to ask your kids every day, how was your day at school today? Was everyone nice to you today? And not saying, oh, someone stepped on my foot. No, that's not what I'm saying. But ask your kids, did you feel uncomfortable today? Did anyone say anything to you to hurt your feelings, to make you feel scared, to make you feel uncomfortable, or to make you not want to go to school tomorrow? The one thing that I probably would have done differently to protect her feelings, I probably would have agreed with my husband to pull her out of it.
Just go ahead and take her away from the situation.
Because that dark place, that it's not worth it. It's not worth it, because seeing her hurt and seeing her going through that, it's not worth it, because to save her, because I felt as though I was losing, or we was losing, a part of her.